You say things and those are words. But if you don't know the meaning, then words are just noises. And even if you understand the word, it's not like other people understand it the way you do. Pizzas aren't pies, and koala aren't bears either. Jellyfish is clearly not a fish. And penis do not nut. They're legume. Take a look at a dictionary. Some words have like 50 different meanings or something. As if grammar rules aren't complicated enough. But unlike grammar rules, nobody knows the rule what words go into the dictionary. So what's going on with them words? A word is born when somebody coin it, and people start adopting it. But think about it, it's not like an intern at Merriam-Webster came up with the word riz and then they put it in a dictionary or something like that. It was already a thing, and that's why they put it into the dictionary. But let me paint a clearer picture. If you keep making the same noise,
Sure nobody's follow us.
That would be inconceivable.
in the same context,
Climbing the rope and he's gaining on us.
Inconceivable.
eventually people will recognize the noise
Inconceivable.
and give it a meaning.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Or you could even combine existing words, or just yoink it from other languages, or just literally make something up. As long as you can make it a thing, it'll be a thing. And then the dictionary will do the dictionary in the dictionary, and then there you go, you get a new word. It's not official or anything, it's pretty random. Kind of organic, you know, and that's good, right? And because of that, some words are just outright unnecessary. Or too loose. Or too specific. Good. For me, steak is good. To vegan, probably not. Point is, a lot of times it doesn't matter what the dictionary says. Your culture and worldview tells you what's good or bad or pretty or ugly or what's right. These are just ideas that we get behind, which can be misleading at times. Speaking of not being misled, did you know that knowing more words actually makes you smarter? There's some research online saying that knowing more vocabulary increases the gray matter density, which is the stuff that tells your body to do things and decide things and tell your senses to start sensing. You look like a fucking psychologist to you. But why is it gray matter? Not because white was already taken and black matter would have been racist. We don't really know what the brain looks like. We've only got the dead brains to work with. And the outer part of the dead brains is kind of gray, tannish, brownish, but it's gray, I guess, compared to the inner part, which is whitish because it is covered by these little smart brain condoms or something. And so it's white matter. The point is, we couldn't name it anything. It could have been a brain matter A and brain matter B. The inner brain and outer, it doesn't really matter, does it? We hear gray matter and we think about the same thing. That's good enough, right? Or is it? Some words are clear-cut. You hear gray matter, you might think about the brain. If you watch Breaking Bad, you might think about that. What about gravity? That's the force pulling us down to the earth. Apple is the fruit that is red and grows on the tree and invented gravity and iPhones and shit. And what about a table? As long as you can put things on top of the flat plane, then that's a table. But let's say you take this log and then you cut it and you call it a bespoke bedside table, then it is a bespoke bedside table because that's what it's meant to be. But then maybe people find sitting on it to be much better use than, you know, using it as a table. Then is it still a table or is it a chair? To most people, I think they would imagine this thing being a stool at best or at worst a piece of dog shit. Because we know what a table should look like. But there's no real distinction between a table and a chair. You put things on a table and you put your ass in the chair, but you could also sit on a table and put things on your chairs. So how does that really work anyway? And maybe the context here is the carpenter spent a lot of times and energy making the table and he's really proud of it. The table! To the carpenter, this will always be a table. Even if it's a dog shit table. So in a way, you could only guess what people are saying using context. I mean, like, that's literally the point of language, right? You like transmit your thought using sounds. Wow. And that's the thing about words. They're more like a hint for you to understand what the other person is meaning to say. But I'm not saying something like language is a social construct or anything like that. It's just that we can't be objective about our words. This one time my mom says something along the line of communism bad. But she's not talking about Marx or sharing the wealth or the political theory. She's talking about China taking over her damn country and secret police and brutality, nuclear annihilations and shit. Now, communism is not a simple word. Communism is a concept with a bunch of ideas behind it. And if you want to know a beginning to it, you would have to know a little bit about economics and politics and philosophy and history and blah blah blah. There's so much to learn about this shit to even understand the idea behind it. But that's not how we learn words. We try to understand these concepts in our own ways. In my mom's case, she educated herself about the CCP and her country.
Hong Kong was a gateway for Asia to the world.
Everybody is being monitored.
Hong Kong is now a police state. Thousands arrested,
By the Chinese government.
jailed,
People are migrating out of Hong Kong
forced to flee.
to Canada, to UK, to wherever that would take them.
But he was reluctant to leave his homeland. He fled.
But worst of it all is, she feels that her country, her home, is being taken away.
To find out how China managed to crush Hong Kong.
And when I talk to my mom, that's the context we're working with. The word communism makes her feel kind of shitty and she thinks about all these bad things. And so when we say communism, we don't even talk about the same thing anymore. And I guess that's how you change the meaning of the word, by changing how you feel about it. And that's how propaganda works, that's how education works. But there's no telling what's educational or misinformational. At the end of the day, it's you who decide if something is true or not. 'Cause personally, words are just essentially what we think it means. Let me put it the other way because this is kind of woo-woo. In most contexts, if you get called fat, it usually implies bad things, like you haven't been taking care of yourself and you fell off, you're ugly now, you're probably single, you're gonna die alone. Nobody enjoys being called fat, even if they're morbidly obese. Especially if you're struggling with weight loss, then any weight-related word could be an insult. But if you're a twink like me who doesn't have any fat or muscle, then maybe you won't really be bothered by the word fat. In fact, I don't even think about the word fat unless I am cooking, and fat is good for cooking. It's like the necessity. I mean, that's the extent of how much I think about the word fat. And if I get called fat, I wouldn't be too offended because I am a twink.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
One word can be taken in so many ways. It just depends on how you contextualize the word. And just like what I said before, how you feel about the word usually defines it for you. And sometimes we end up giving a word so much meaning that it gets personal. Like my mom hating on communism, even though it's got nothing to do with the Chinese Communist Party, even though they have communist in the name, it's not like they're totally communistic, you know? Or what about the people who feel insulted when they are misgendered?
Okay. I'm so sorry. It's just always like a knife. It always hurts every single time.
Or what if I tell you you're not a real man's gonna be like really secure with their body type, no matter what they look like. Yeah. What if I call you broke boy, stupid bitch, you dumb. Or people believing in... These are just words and labels that we kind of carry on our backs. And if you take them seriously enough, they become a part of you. It becomes your opinion, your belief, your faith, your dogma, or everything that you stand for. And now that I think about it, maybe words are weird because we are weird. Some talk a lot but say nothing at all. Some people don't even mean what they say. Some feels like they can't say what they mean. And some don't even know how to say what they want to say. We have all sorts of people who speak in all sorts of ways. And so when we use our words willy-nilly, our conversation becomes silly-billy. Like every debate about abortion. Cause nobody knows when the fucking fetus comes alive. Or does climate really change? Or has it always been changing? And how much should I exploit my employees before it's called slavery? And how lightly do I have to toast my toast to get a lightly toasted toast? Are your reasons just excuses? What's the difference, really? Reading the dictionary might help you understand the words, but the only real way to understand it is to understand the person saying them. It's been a long and confusing video, and if you're still here, I want to thank you so much. And I guess these words are worth listening to, at least to you. So, thank you for listening, and see you later for watching. And on that note,
I don't give a fuck about your sleazy attitude. You're talking this and that, bitch, I'ma cut you off.